right. Me and Evie's ears are back for another Destiny 2 video. We are the day before Season of the Wish launches. I'm going to be messing that up for a while because it's also very close to Season of the Witch. And if you are kind of flummoxed that Season of the Wish comes out tomorrow, you're not alone. I wrote a whole article about this earlier about how weird it is that it's coming out tomorrow when there's just like, there's no hype, there's no marketing, it's just happening. There's a whole bunch of factors there. I was maybe going to do a video on it, but I wanted to do something else before the season actually launched that I've been thinking about for a while. Let's move that. And what I've come up with is like, I keep coming back to this idea that I've been wrestling with, and that's the concept that, as we all know, Destiny's free-to-play ambitions have been lacking, shall we say, after they deleted most of the free-to-play content, and now it's just kind of random stuff like an introductory quest and the playlists, and then occasionally a reprised raid. It's very all over the place. And one common thread, this actually came up when I was talking about Diablo and how bad Diablo's microtransactions are, and they are bad. $25, $35 for armor sets, it's crazy, and there's like 50 of them a season. The counter argument, this is presented by Chevy, who is always kind of a big defender of this, but he does make an interesting point that the actual content of a Diablo season is free. So the whole thing with this season getting the vampire powers, farming the vampire zones, fighting the vampire bosses, blah blah blah, the new endgame bosses, all of this stuff, you can just log in and do that. There's nothing stopping you from that. And so then the entire seasonal model is trained on convincing people to pay $10 for the premium battle pass and then buying some amount of microtransactions in the store. And this is sort of how it works most of the time. You could see this in countless other games. Fortnite is not demanding that you pay $10 to access the new map they've just launched. They want you to buy the battle pass, and they want you to buy stuff in the microtransaction store. Genshin Impact, they have these giant, if we're doing PvE, giant PvE content updates that are not gated behind a paywall. Rather, there's sort of a battle pass there, but the main draw is they want you to spend a bunch of money doing gacha pulls for the new characters. And this is kind of true time and time again, where free-to-play live service games are actually free-to-play the vast majority of the time. And that usually means just, please buy our battle pass every 3 months, and then we're going to make a bunch of attractive offerings in the store so that you buy those, and that will help, offset the cost of what it takes to develop a season. Destiny 2 does not do that. As we know, you can do practically nothing in a given season unless you have bought that season. And you might be able to do like the first mission or something, or do one test run of the seasonal activity, which I think comes up. But you need to pay $10. Well, now isn't it like $12 now to access the actual content of the season, which does get you the battle pass, to be fair, but it's like mandating you get the battle pass, because otherwise you're just doing the free track, which is barely anything. And then on top of that, as we are all aware of at this point, we also have the giant microtransaction store full of, maybe not the highest total amount of microtransactions, as Diablo is doing like $1,000 worth of armor a season practically. But in terms of the breadth of things they sell, like all of the different things they sell as part of the game, up including transmog and $10 shader paywalls, like in addition to armor and ornaments, blah, 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 blah. Like, the list at this point. And so this kind of plays into the idea that Destiny is too focused on so many avenues of monetization. So I want to do a thought experiment of, what if Destiny's seasons were free? And I know we're moving into episodes, not seasons, blah, blah, blah. But the idea is, what if Destiny became like all of these other games and made free seasons? So you could play the actual content of a season, but you were motivated to buy the battle pass for the battle pass rewards and whatever. And sometimes those have like boosts for the season and like small boosts, but and then spend some things in the microtransaction store, which they want everyone to do. What if it operated like a traditional free-to-play live service game? So I think there's a few angles to this, because the pro side of this is that if you opened up Destiny as a truly free-to-play game with the seasonal model, at least, I'm not necessarily saying the expansions should be free. That's like another debate, and that's a little bit of a harder sell, because like even Diablo is not going to do free expansions. Those are going to be $40, $50 expansions, no doubt. And then other live service games, unless we're joking about Modern Warfare 3 being an expansion to 2, most other games are not doing, paid expansions. Like when Genshin Impact launches a new zone, it's not, you have to pay for the new zone. It's just, it launches. But Destiny obviously has a problem getting new players to kind of come into the game at this point, in addition to old players leaving, because keeping up with the costs of things is exhausting. So I think this could be something to be a motivator for both new players to hop on board. You can just jump into the new season, whatever's happening, give Altars of whatever it's called, Summoning a try, and give Savathûn Spire a try, and start farming these new weapons, and you're engaged with this all of a sudden, and oh hey, maybe I do want to buy the battle pass because I've sunk 20 hours into the season, or I didn't pay $12 for this, so maybe I spend $12 in the Eververse store on something cool there. So all the while getting new players on board, and then having existing players feel less exhausted of like, oh god, I gotta buy another season, and like blah blah blah. The counter argument to this is revenue loss. And we already know Bungie is missing its revenue targets by a significant amount, at least this year. And what this takes away is a few things. So selling seasons individually, which are $12 per season, and then the big $100 thing they always do with each new, or is it $100? Is it like $80 or $100, something, with each new expansion, where they pre-sell that. It gets you all of the seasons in the coming year, and it's a reason for them to charge $100 instead of $50, $60 for the expansion itself. And I'm sure they really, really like selling those $100 packs, and they get a lot of those, rather than selling standalone expansions, like either now or in the future. And that would be a loss. The question is whether they would gain more than they lose. And this is a calculation they already made. Destiny used to be an entirely paid game, and one of the first things they did when they went independent from Activision is take it free to play. And the idea, there's always been something of a debate in the community, is like, is that when things started to go downhill, when they made the game free to play? And I don't think that's true. I think it was really good for a time, maybe, what was it, a year, while the game was free to play, when they had a significant amount of content as free to play. When they had the Red War expansion, the first two, the Red War campaign, and then the first two expansions, Curse of Osiris and Warmind, and then the entire first year of seasonal content, Black Armory, Drifter, and Opulence. That was like a really good time for free content. Now, all of that is gone, and now it does not seem like a great idea for Destiny to be free to play with all of these just random things that are free. And at least making the seasonal model, the seasons themselves, able for people to just jump in and play them, rather than, don't want to commit, to paying for the season when I didn't pay for the other seasons, and blah, blah, blah. It would allow people to cycle back in with like, hey, Season of the Witch is actually really good, and you should probably play it. And getting people back on board, getting that player count up. And because the reason a lot of games are free to play is because they know 90% of people will play the game and not spend any money, but they want that 10% to spend money. And all, that 10% or whatever, 20, 30% will add up to an amount that can sustain the game. The problem with Destiny is that the amount of content it is creating relative to its revenue is not working. So the issue here is it costs too much to make the amount of content that Destiny makes, where it's not even being offset right now by the seasonal model, by charging money for those seasons in combination with all the other monetization. So if you take away the charge for seasons, you are really, really risking even more revenue loss, assuming that you can get a bunch of new players and some of those players will spend enough to make it worth it. And this is where I see Destiny being different than another, any number of other games. So we're talking about Diablo, whatever, but like the entirety of this Diablo season is they made, I don't know, 20 new, it's essentially like making 20 new perks for your character with the vampire powers, making one new zone with a couple different activities that are not remotely is involved as making a Destiny activity, and a bunch of enemy density, and then like one or two new bosses they made for this. Like substantively, it is a lot less content. And the same is true for, I would argue, most multiplayer shooters that are just almost purely focused on PvP usually. And they might have a new sections of a map to play around, occasionally an entirely new map, but mainly, it is not the same level of content. Getting to games that are the same level of content, your Genshin Impacts, Genshin Impact probably puts more into its every couple of week patches than Destiny does. Like they have sprawling new areas and elaborate quest lines with tons of voice work, like almost too much voice work. But the difference there is they have a gacha model, and gacha models are insane for revenue. And Destiny doesn't have anything like that. And Lord help Destiny if Destiny suddenly became a gacha game, like that would not fly. So it is ultimately hard for me to see this working. Even if it sounds good in theory, I think Destiny's cash burn rate in terms of how much it costs to make a game like Destiny, it is massively expensive, and I would say way more expensive than most of these other games we're referencing. And they do not have a revenue model in terms of its battle pass and microtransactions, I think, to offset that. I know they sell a lot of stuff, but I also think very, very little they sell is actually that level of appealing. The armor set in a given season is hit or miss. Sometimes we demand that they take the armor set completely out of this, which they did last season, but I guarantee that was a huge revenue loss, because I can guarantee that the armor set each season is one of the best selling things of that season, even if you can end up buying it for Bright Dust. And as much as we complain about Eververse, many games do not allow you to earn a significant amount of, what would otherwise be paid currency. Like there is no Bright Dust equivalent in Diablo. Like you pay $10 for the battle pass, which has, like that you can buy like 2/3 of an armor set for this. Fortnite does have enough currency in it to pay for the next battle pass, but they are just consistently pumping out 15, 10, 15, 20, $25 skins all of the time, like every couple of days practically, at a level that Destiny isn't close to. So as much as I would like this to see this change in order to attract fresh blood from new people hopping in and having an easier time for onboarding, and also something to motivate players to return, because it doesn't really cost anything to invest, it is hard for me to see Bungie taking a huge risk like this, because if it didn't work, like going back to paid immediately would be lambasted. Like, they would get in a lot of trouble for that. And I just don't know if that would work for Destiny. Even if Destiny is one of the only games kind of doing this model, like hiding their PvE season fully behind a $12 paywall, I think the way the game is set up does not allow for free seasons. It costs, like, Season of the Witch has a really, really large amount of PvE content, and we know PvP is neglected and Gamma's neglected, but why are those neglected? Because those are completely free and those do not make money. Again, the counter argument here is overall engagement would certainly encourage revenue in certain places. Like they would sell more battle passes, they would sell more microtransactions Eververse if they dramatically increase player count, but enough to offset that, $40, $50 a year of seasons. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it to me, but this is just a thought experiment I wanted to run. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this, because this is one thing where I'm not one of my, you should do this, Bungie, blah, 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 like I do that. And sometimes people don't love hearing that, especially Bungie. But this is one where I'm a little more nebulous. So let me know what you think. Maybe there's going to be a Season of the Wish trailer in like an hour or something, but Lord only knows. I don't even know if I want to cover it, because just the season launches tomorrow, and this stupid day before, hour before marketing thing is very dumb. But what you could do if you didn't have paid seasons, you could market them way in advance, because you wouldn't be, you can't pre-order seasons right now, and that's allegedly why they don't do tons of marketing. But you could get people hyped and be like, "Yo, this new season looks pretty cool," a month ahead of time or whatever. So I don't know. Well, this is kind of the last pre-Wish thing I'm going to do, and I just wanted to get this out here before Wish actually launched because we will be talking about actual Wish things once that season launches. But let me know what you think. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about this. But yeah, let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching. I will talk to you later. Take care.